This is Sifu Z, and I don't remember when we did a live stream. So here we are. We have a live stream. We might have some other folks coming on by, some other practitioners, if you will. I think, well, heck, you know what? There's a whole website regarding me, who I am. If you're here, you probably even know who I am. So I'm not even going to talk about it. Let's get to this guy. That's my twin brother. We just been reunited after many years. This is Ramon Bostic. Ramon, would you introduce yourself so I don't botch it up?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ramon. I'm happy to be here. As far as this channel, I am a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. Have practiced for 6 years now, um, and I take everything that comes with that, not just the practical application, but the mental strength that has come with it, and it's helped me in my personal training business as well as just life in general, and the noodles that we get from martial arts and are just a good crossover for life. So I'm always willing to, or should I say, happy to take on more knowledge and more ways to looking at the world. So I'm happy to be here to hang out with Sifu Z.
All right. Now, pardon me. Truth be told, boys and girls, uh, I just found out that he was a jujitsu guy only seconds before you guys. Uh, so we're gonna put our virtual outfits on, and we're just gonna go at it. Wing Chun versus Jiu-Jitsu. That's what we're going to do. Yeah, wouldn't that be cool? I mean, I know this has been my dream for years, since easily since the 70s, 80s to do virtual reality and be able to do something like, and then as soon as Wing Chun, I'm like, or and Jiu-Jitsu, I'm like, wouldn't that be amazing? It's more suitable. It's easier to do with Wing Chun, virtual reality would be easier to do with Wing Chun than Jiu-Jitsu because Jiu-Jitsu is just so acrobatic and whatnot, and Wing Chun is just like you strike a pose and you could just be way easier. Then the haptics would be easier with Wing Chun because it's pretty much just connection with arms and stuff. So you just put electrical haptic on there, and that would give you the stuff you need. I'm giving everybody way too much. Uh, It said max out of guests were invited. Are you kidding me? What are you talking about? So apparently, Chad's trying to join in here because he joined. I invited him, and apparently we are just we what it says. It says we're maxed out. All right. So let me get to some business here. Well, Chad, would I think what I'll do is I'll focus. It'll just be me and Ramon. It'll just be me and Ramon. And then maybe I could have you on tomorrow, or I can try to get all of us on tomorrow, or however that works. Um, so this is a Wing Chun martial art channel. I'm interviewing Ramon Bostic, and so that's what this is all about. So behave yourselves, guys, and Chad, Seafood Chad. If you got my message, just give me a thumbs up if you're good with that. If you're too busy, just let me know. All right, thank you. All right, on with the show. Ramon, Chad, did you know? Hey, bro, you know this guy? This guy, he played jujitsu, bro. um, Now, what belt?
I am a four-stripe blue belt.
Nice, nice. You know, blue belts are near and dear to my heart when it comes to jujitsu. Uh, Now I started doing jujitsu in '94, which means only, well, 92, 93, 94, 9 months after I became a Wing Chun master, 9 months after I became a Wing Chun master, I started training jujitsu. I became a Wing Chun master in 9 months, training with Chris Chan and then moving to Hawaii because I just started fighting everybody on the beach and going, "Hey, bro, what's up?" Except not that well. I wasn't doing it that well. It was, "Hey, bro, what's up? Where are you from?" "Oh, I'm from here." "Want to fight?" Yeah. And yeah, I had a mohawk at the time, so that helped the dramatic panache of the whole thing, right? But yeah, 9 months later, I got into jujitsu, and then what was it? 7 years or 17 years? I'm pretty sure it was 17 years. I actually became a certified Chris Chan Sifu. Uh, yeah, so it took me a long time actually, but I faked it before I made it. Faked it real well. By way of just fighting. I see I was cheating because I've always been a fighter. I've been a fighter
Yeah.
since literally since I was 4 years old. I started fighting. So um, now, where did you start training?
So I started Chun when I first moved. Do you know Steve Maxwell?
That sounds really familiar.
So are you familiar with the Dirty Dozen? So the Dirty
N-
Dozen are considered to be the first 12 American black belts, American Jiu-Jitsu black belts, and he was one of the
Okay.
first 12 in America. So he's in the Dirty Dozen. I've trained with him
Where's he
professionally.
out of?
At the time, he was out of Philadelphia.
Oh,
He
no
had a gym.
kidding.
He had opened a gym called Maxercise. This is probably 40 years ago,
Yeah.
and he had the first jujitsu gym in that region in America. And he started training with um, Helson, I believe Helson. And he went
Okay.
down to, and he was one of the first 12 American black belts. He had taught jujitsu for years. I have a friend who's now a black belt had talked to me about jujitsu for years. So it was always in the radar, but I just either deprioritized or just never found a home with that. Because I knew Gracie jujitsu, but I didn't know enough. So I knew enough to know that everywhere you go, there's like 10 different Gracie schools. So I'm like, well, what's like, if every Gracie, if every member of the Gracie has their own school, like, what's the difference? But I recognized early on that there was a difference and they were still competing with each other. So I'm like, the whole thing, I just didn't get it. So when I moved here, I live in Scottsdale now. When I moved here, um, Steve Maxwell came out for a seminar, and it was at a jiu-jitsu school. I went to a seminar, and he happened to say, he's like, "Hey, if you've ever thought about doing jiu-jitsu, this is a good school." He's not the kind of guy that gives out compliments very often. So when he says something is good, it's really good. So this was on a Saturday. That Monday I showed up, and I haven't stopped showing up since. And that's basically how it happened.
um, now that I know you're jujitsu, I thought maybe you did some other martial art, maybe some Wing Chun, but now that I know you did jujitsu, now I even got more questions for you. Especially, especially. Sorry, I got a little distracted. Thank you, Chad. Chad's so on it, man. Hey, he's quick. Yeah, I have so much to share with you too as a Wing Chun person in regards to jujitsu. It's really quite phenomenal. Um, I'm going to put a shade on myself real quick. 1 second. Ah, hmm. All right, I was going to try to put a shade on myself. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna look for it now. let's see here. You were training jujitsu in Philly, and about the original guys, yeah, all the guys that trained with Helson Gracie, Hawaii Jiu-Jitsu, Helson Gracie. So, when did you start training?
6 years ago.
Oh, 6 years ago. That's right. I'm sorry. You said that. Now, this you may find interesting. Uh, because there's so much jujitsu in Hawaii, literally more Gracie Jiu-Jitsu in Hawaii than Starbucks. Literally. Boy, was that good for us.
Mhm.
Because we could just go, who's the hottest guy, who's really teaching, the latest thing, so we would just go from North Shore, Sunset, Waikiki side, we just bounce all over the place. um so I am a white belt, and it's upset some people because they think that you're doing that thing, where you're tapping out blue belts and purple belts and an occasional brown belt, never a black belt. I'm gonna be honest, I ain't ever tapped at Gracie Jiu-Jitsu black belt, just ain't ever done it unless they let me,
Right.
yeah. No, that ain't ever happened. So um yeah, I gotta admit that as a Wing Chun guy, uh, um now what kind of sold you on jujitsu? Was it just getting manipulated
Yeah,
easily? What was the thing?
it's one of those things where I think for me, like, that's a good question. I don't know. It just kind of spoke to me. I think it's more the practicality of it. It's like when people ask me, there's always that big question about what's the best martial art, and I tell people, like, in my opinion, the best martial art is the one you'll do every day, the one where you like wake up and I'm excited to go train today. It doesn't matter because the reality is, against an untrained opponent, really any martial art, you will come out ahead. That's the reality. So I'm like the one you'll do every day. And so I went and trained, and I just liked it. Like there was something about the way, I guess, the way you can, I don't say manipulate people physically, but it was just, I don't know, it worked for how my brain worked, and the way my brain picks up information. Um, I did a little Muay Thai before that, so I've done striking, I've done kicking, and it was fun. Um, and Jitsu was just, it was very different, and I was familiar enough with it. I had watched this. I went to the LA Fitness Expo pre-COVID, and there was a Muay Thai tournament and a Jiu-Jitsu tournament. I'm watching the Muay Thai tournament, but like the Jiu-Jitsu tournament was next to me, and I kept glancing over. And even though it's all foreign, I really had no idea what I was watching. It still kind of like piqued my interest. And at a certain point, I just didn't want to get punched in the face anymore. So I was like, Jiu-Jitsu just spoke to me, and it was the martial art that I realized early on I could show up every day and be happy to train. And I can't speak for Wing Chun, but I feel like it's like you walk in knowing you're gonna get ragdolled every day. That's whether it's emotionally or physically, and you kind of have to be the right kind of person to recognize I'm going to engage in something that I will forever suck at doing. Because there's always people that are bad. I don't care how good you are. There's always, like, my head instructor who is a brown belt. He's like guys that mauled me 10 years ago still maul me today. And like it's just it's a thing that you just have to be okay with sucking. And I feel like as I spoke before, those metaphors for life, like it gives you that little like life nugget that it's okay to pursue something. If you suck at it, oh well. Like, are you having fun? Are you learning? It's like you don't have to be amazing. Like, it's okay.
I think when you work at something, uh, oh, that company, by the way, is Visible because they just emailed me. They were talking about Visible, Verizon Visible. So if you're interested, check that out. Of course, they're not paying me. I don't know why I'm giving them advertising, and that thing that I was looking for was right there in front of me. Wouldn't you know? Wouldn't you know? I think there we go. Sorry about that. But now I'm not frying. You're gonna have to turn me over pretty soon. um, yeah, that hands-on thing. Uh, did you do wrestling like in high school?
I did
Anything like
not.
that? You
I
didn't?
was
Okay.
Yeah, I was a bicycle racer back then, and still dabble in it. But yeah, I've been in endurance sports, so yeah, I was always interested. I think for me, yeah, it might be different now but when I was in high school, my only perception of wrestling was guys coming into class that like hadn't eaten in like 4 days, hadn't drank any water. I'm like, y'all look miserable. Like it just, I
Yeah.
know how weight cutting works now, but at the time I'm just like wrestling like miserable because they literally walk into class like I can't drink any water. I got to weigh in at 3 o'clock. I'm like, I just thought that was fun. I understand it now, but my 17-year-old body was just like, what are they doing?
Oh,
Like they
yeah, yeah, yeah,
can't
must
relax just so you can like poop everything out. You're intentionally trying to vomit. Like this is a sport.
dang. Now, I'll ask about the later one, but what do you walk at right now?
145.
Oh, no kidding. So,
Yeah,
what's your height?
6 or 6, 5'10".
Wow. Wow, that's a really good jujitsu body. Um, but you sure do gotta have your technique if you're going up against an equal 170 pound, don't you?
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's so when I started jiu-jitsu, I'm almost 55 now. I was 48 when I started. Um, and I just carried more muscle mass back then. So I was like 165 and I started doing jujitsu. And over about a year, I dropped down to about 155, hung out there for a bit. Then I started probably I don't know a year or two ago. I just sort of cleaned out a few things in my diet and just again between that and just being older, like I'm basically at my high school weight again, which is fine, which is weird, but it's fine. And I like walking around 145 is kind of like my happy spot, and I've you know I assume it's same with Wing Chun, but like in Jiu-Jitsu, it's like you kind of find the thing you're good at, and my leg work is pretty good, and since I am longer legged, it does give me I'm not saying an advantage because no one has an advantage, but it's easier for me in that respect since I am like a smaller guy. I'm not a small framed guy. I'm a smaller person, so I do feel like again, just works for me. Yeah, as far as my body type is concerned, yeah, there's definitely
Yeah.
guys that are like, I still have a hard, guys that are 200 pounds plus, even if they're like lower ranked than me, they're a hard night out, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
especially if they're really grinding it,
oh yeah, no, same with
Yeah.
this kid the other night who was like, I think he's 240, so he's literally like 95 pounds more than me. It's like, yeah, once I got the dominant position, I was good, but up until that point, like that's still 100 pounds of more weight on top of me, and yeah, that was not an easy night out.
Now, okay, let me ask some jujitsu only type questions. So, you only do jujitsu. Um, and now I got to remember my terminology to ask it properly. Uh, In the mouth, somebody's on you. Uh, uh, Shoulder or knee elbow?
Wait, what's the question? I'm sorry.
Somebody's on top of you, mounted,
Yes.
pounding you. Okay, shoulder or knee elbow?
If we're in a street fight or if we're rolling,
Ah, good retort. Let's say street fight.
street fight, I would hip up and then put my fist right here, push them away from me, shrimp out, and then work from there.
Okay, okay, very nice. So you actually chose your own question, which is fine, which is fine. I'm going to go ahead and default that to knee elbow and ding, ding, ding. Yes, you won that one. As if this is like a contest or something, right?
Game show, right?
Because of course you use both. You use both, right? You use
Yeah.
both. Yeah, of course. But it just amazes me when I watch the UFC how they're not really vying for that knee elbow, just trying just using the now you said this and there is no wrong. I want to make that clear because there are various techniques and reasons why people do various techniques. I've really noticed, especially when I've trained with really high level players, they'll be doing something like, damn, doesn't that open you up for um typically doesn't that open you up for a Kimura? But see, now they're thinking on this other level, like, oh yeah, but then if they go for the Kimura, then I got them. Kind of a thing,
Yeah. It's
So
it's like
so in this particular case, um uh I've always taught, not learned, because I've learned both. And plus because what I've done, my evolution was Wing Chun first, then Jiu-Jitsu because they kicked my butt,
mhm.
and I kind of was doing Wing Chun and then I was doing Jiu-Jitsu. Then I realized that the two could actually work really well together. And then I realized Wing Chun is Jiu-Jitsu.
Mhm.
Jiu-Jitsu is Wing Chun, and I don't mean that metaphorically in
Right.
the least. I mean that technically. A wonderful thing that happened, I was hoping it would happen to me, was there's I'm not going to mention the name because but he's up there. He's way up there. He's a league on his own. He's the kind of black belt that goes, "Oh, okay, guys, are you ready?" And he lays on the floor and lets you attack him until he's ready. Which he's like, he'll go, okay, or until we're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, you guys ready? You ready? I'm like, oh man, he's that kind of player. I can do that standing up in Wing Chun and I can, do the marathon roll. But man, just laying there and just doing the internal shifting that's required and stuff. A thing of beauty, a thing of beauty. Anyway, I won't mention this guy's name, but he allowed me to train in his place. He had a cage, and he had allowed me to come in and do my thing. And he's a jock, he's a jujitsu meathead. And so he took to making fun, but I'm like, "Hey, whatever, man. You let me use your space, and then you let me train with you too, and then
Mhm.
play with your guys." So I was forever grateful, Um, but I would take his class, but he would never take my class. In fact, his students started coming to take my class. He didn't like that, right? And I'm like, oh God, man, uh, there's not a lot of people that I fear, in a certain sense. But when you're working with somebody and it's perfectly okay for them to put their hands on you, you're like, Okay, okay, yeah, we got to work this out, bro. Because then I have to do my Wing Chun because the only thing that I know that can even come close to dealing with Wing Chun is just a pure Jiu-Jitsu is a pure Wing Chun approach, right? So now let me tell you what he did. He never took a class, but he watched. He watched. And so then many years, yeah, I left him. We had a parting of ways eventually. I didn't like the threat of working with this guy. Eventually, there are some very well off camera. I'll tell you some of the things. Hannibal Lecter style stuff. I ain't kidding. All right. So anyway, um, I escaped with my life. Injuries to this day from working with that guy. He works with some the champion UFC guys. I'm not going to say any names. I'll to you person to person I will, but not just here. I'm not going to say any names. Uh, so many years later, I'm traveling around and I'm very far from where we were. And I there's this place and it says jujitsu, and I'm like, "Yeah, let me check that out because if it's good jujitsu, I'm in, right?" So I go in there and it's just this one guy sitting there, and I walk in and I see him. It's him. It's him. I'm like, what the? So I'm like, all right, well, this is good jujitsu. I'm in. I'm your first student. Yeah, he's like, this is bizarre. I'm like, yeah, this is really bizarre. So we're now it's just me and him, right? So he's just killing me. He's wrecking me. He's like 170, 180, and just a monster. And he's just toying with me, and wrecking me and whatnot. And and as he's doing stuff, I'm going, oh, we call that futsal. And I go, "Oh, we call that tonsal. Oh, we call that lonsal," And he eventually says he kind of stops me. He's like, not in one set. I was doing this over many sessions, and he
Mhm.
finally says to me, don't you think that I haven't watched your classes and all that?" I'm like, "Oh, oh." Because his jujitsu was on yet another level by the time I saw him
Mhm.
again, on a whole another level. And so here was the lesson, the great lesson to the great kung fu guy. Oh, that's me, by the way. Uh, um, someone can take your stuff and just take it to another level.
Mhm.
To another level. And it's not my stuff. It's Wing Chun. It's simple Wing Chun. That's all it is. There's
Mhm.
Fuxao. There's Fuxao, right? Here's Fuxao. Here's Fuxao. And now here goes our little fun little quiz. Here's Fuxao. Here's double Fuxao. What does that look like in Jiu-Jitsu? Yeah, we don't have to be standing, of course. We could be upside down. Yeah. Man, man, man. Okay, here's another quiz. Here's another quiz. We have a posture called it comes from tonsal, but then goes to bonsal. Bonsal, right? In fact, this one also does tonsal, but tonsal fuxal, right? Bonsal, tonsal, bonsal, tonsal fuxal. Okay, now I'm going to combine them. You tell me what it looks like to you.
Okay.
Bonsal, tonsal, fuxal.
Rear naked choke.
Cat in a thousand. And not a rear naked choke. the rear naked choke. A rear naked choke is like, you know, here, let me get this right. Is like like this. A rear naked choke, right? Your whole here, right?
Mhm.
The rear naked choke is like this. You know the difference? This is extra credit.
Well, I mean, for me, like when I do it, I come in here. I know some people like to do the hand, the back of the head thing. I don't like that. Like the way I was taught, you're closing everything up, and then your chest pushes, and that's what pulls all this back. But I
Yeah.
know, like in MMA, because they're wearing gloves, they will often do the head, this thing because the gloves get in the way. But that's those are the differences that I see.
Here's the difference. It is sort of more like black belt tip that I'm probably unworthy of. Uh, but when the hands are here, and I've had this happen, especially in real fights, because I do get into real fights. Um, they grab the fingers, right?
Hmm.
So when you wrap this way and they grab the fingers, all they're doing is just bending them this way instead
Hmm.
of this way. Just it's a neat little there's so many little things in jujitsu. It's endless. It's absolutely endless. However, there is a root to it all. There's still this whole this whole thing here, tonsal. All right. Here's oh, Quizlet. Quizlet. We'll call this a Quizlet. A Quizlet number 3, and you're batting 1,000. Phenomenal. Quizlet number 3. What would that remind you of? We'll take this hand out of there. Just pretend it's. But just what does that remind you of? Now that's a classic tonsao. Tonsao in Chinese, by the way, and now I'm starting to help you out here. Tonsao in Chinese means divide, dividing
Hmm.
hand, divide. Yeah, divide. What does that remind you of? And this is tricky.
I mean, it reminds me of if I was doing a collar grab, like when I see this part, that's what I would do if I was going to grab a collar before I went into a choke, well, a lapel choke.
Oh, that's good. That's good, and that's very very good. You wouldn't do this, right? You'd kind of
Right.
get in there, and then kind of do what we call mansal, going from tonsal to mansal to get deep into the collar, right? And
Hmm.
then under, however you're going to go with that. But it's more basic than that. I should say it's a more one of the most, and we're still actually talking about knee elbow, that escape, somebody on top of you. Because to me, that's the most important thing. Like, okay, somebody's on top of you. You couldn't get away, you couldn't run, you couldn't punch them, or if you did, somehow now we're on the ground and
Right.
they're on top. So to me, that's in my jujitsu world, that's where it starts. It starts with me being a little girl and then being a big strong man. And then, okay, how do we get out of this? Right. So this is instead of this,
Hmm.
right? Which, of course, when you're shrimping, right?
Yeah.
That shrimping, jujitsu could, by de facto, be called shrimping. It was a joke. Uh, shrimping is probably the most important thing. If you, would you agree with me? If you can shrimp,
It's definitely a early skill set that you're taught probably your first week of jujitsu.
but I've seen it that there's shrimping and then there's shrimping. Oops, sorry about that. My Hollywood shade. This is my Hollywood shade, by the way. All right, cut. Um, yeah, um, yeah. I've had uh, yeah, I've had way too many various different things. Anyway, back to this. There's logic. There's logic. We can use logic here instead of just opinion, or we do it. Um, First off, there's just a now. Are you familiar with single shrimping, double shrimping, or triple shrimping?
Maybe
Not
not
yet.
in that terminology, but if you told me, I would probably um, figure out the difference.
It's essentially making sure when you shrimp, you don't shrimp just right. Shrimp once, shrimp this,
Mhm.
shrimp right. The whole idea here is, and it all comes from the real fighting world, is one shrimp just ain't enough.
Right.
In other words, you have to kind of push out
But
multiple
yeah, I would
times
for
in reality.
sure you ship as much as you need, depending on what the case may be.
Right, right. But we usually practice single shrimping,
For
and
the most.
and in and in the beginning, of course, that's a good thing to do. However, again, this is all coming from guy, and I'm not going to even go too far. I feel bad even talking about this. This is kind of special jujitsu knowledge that I probably shouldn't really go all that too into, but I just want to share. You're a jujitsu
No, no,
man, a
yeah,
jujitsu brother. I wanted to share this with you,
no,
and
for
then
sure.
you can also take it to your professor, and kind of start a conversation on that if he's interested, about this, because the whole idea is to it's all conditioning, right? So if you do single shrimps, guess what you're going to do? Single shrimps. If all
Mhm.
you do is triple shrimps, guess what you're going to do? You're going to do triple shrimps. With pushing, please understand, everyone listening, I do not speak as an authority. I speak as a fellow practitioner, and I'm just sharing. Please understand this. I listen to myself and go, "Who the hell are you, man? What? All right, just shut up. Let's go. Let's go." Yeah. So I always got to preface. This is just a practitioner sharing like some stuff. That's it. And why am I doing it? Because I'm very selfish. I want to hear what he's got. Anyway, shrimping. We've all the basic shrimp. Um, this concept of not doing a basic shrimp from the get go, but doing multiple shrimps from the get go to get that conditioning, that neural memory going.
Mhm.
And then here's the thing Wing Chun offers, and some jujitsu guys. Did you know Carlos Gracie? Is it Carlos Carlton Gracie Jr.? He worked hand in hand with Wing Chun master. They
Mhm.
did a Samuel Kwok. They did a video together. I bought the video, so
Mhm.
a wonderful video. I would say Carlson offered more in that video than Samuel Kwok. As far as jujitsu goes, I'm just as catty as anybody when it comes to Wing Chun. I
Mhm.
feel that it's Itmon, Chris Chan, me. Hi, how you doing? That's my attitude. You couldn't even say if they go, oh yeah, well, Itmon, Bruce Lee, me. No, no, because Bruce Lee trained with Leon, um, Sifu Leon,
Mhm.
not Itmon. He trained with a senior student. That's all. Chris Chan, he had money. He trained with Itmon. They
Mhm.
were friends. They were both friends. But if you understand the lineage, then you understand that there's a sweet spot there. There's Ip Man and his sweet spot with Bruce Lee and Chris Chan. Then there's Chris Chan and his sweet spot with me and the Sifus from my generation. And now, you're experiencing this sweet spot. How's it taste? uh, um, so, what Wing Chun brings to this is, instead of pushing with the hands, because of course, if you're pushing with the hands, you open yourself up for Kimura, right? Um, is you're pushing with the elbows, knee elbow, a la knee elbow escape, right? Um, yeah, you're gonna forget this when I come and you and I play. Yeah, you're gonna forget that I said this, right? But I love knee elbow escape. It puts you in such a wonderful position. You got that half guard, you can play quarter guard. You can then start playing all that, like, what is it, eight guard, figure eight guard? Um, there's so many names. It's silly, you know. Um, but yeah, that I think X guard
Yes.
kind of stuff. Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, forget I ever said that. What I really like doing is popping out the back door. That's what I like doing. If I'm That's right. No, I don't like doing that. I am not a pop out the back door guy. Yeah, so anyway, by pushing with the elbows instead of the hands, you're not giving them that Kimura action, right?
Mhm.
And in fact, when they if they naturally go for a Kimura when it's not there, they're in danger now, right? That's kind of some black belt behavior there that I'd love to embody in my jujitsu, is just going, oh well, if you go for that, you're doomed. It's like, if you go for that, oh yeah. And then okay, what's your favorite rear naked choke escape, sir?
Um, I see. I like. Well, I'm a hand fighter, so when I get in that position, I just make it extremely difficult for my opponent to choke me. And again, it doesn't work all the time, especially with higher level practitioners. But m- many people don't always have the ability to control what the low body is doing and the upper body is doing. So when I hand fight, again, some people are really good. Some people are really good with body triangles, and that's a harder one. But I'm comfortable. I took a seminar on basically getting your back taken, so I'm relatively comfortable in that position.
Yeah,
Um, I'll hand fight, and at some point, one of us is going to make a mistake. Doesn't always. Sometimes, yeah, you get choked out. That's just that's part of the game. But at some point, my goal is to catch you in a mistake as much as you're trying to catch me in a mistake, and that gives me a little bit of room. And if I can really just like hip out a little bit, again, if your body's triangling me, that's a different problem, and I'll
right,
deal with it. But if I'm not, first of all, I try to make it harder for you to body triangle me. But if let's just assume I'm not body triangled, I usually try to hip out just enough. And really, if you get like even one shoulder or one hip to the ground, they don't have the choke anyway. And most,
right,
again, higher level practitioners are going to know that. They're going to let go. They're probably going to move to mount, which is what I would do. That's usually what happens. So, then you have to ask yourself, well, is it better to be mounted or is it better to be have someone take your back? Well, that depends on who you are as a person. But
yeah,
I'm more comfortable getting my back taken. I don't like being mounted. I don't think anyone really does. Um, it's not a happy spot for me. Like I just don't like it. I'm really rather keeping my back than like being mounted. I despise being mounted. Like I can even tolerate getting side mounted like that. I feel somewhat comfortable. But when I'm mounted, like I'm just that's not my happy spot. And I find
yeah,
like I was talking about the guy I was drilling with the other night who is almost 100 pounds more than me. Like he had me side mounted, and I was doing okay. And once I mounted him, again, the guy's almost 100 pounds more than me, and his entire everything changed because he wasn't comfortable being mounted. So,
Yeah.
and I would imagine in many martial arts, there's positions where like I despise being in that position. Other positions, you're like, okay, I can talk. You're like, I'm comfortable. Yes, you still may get tapped, and that's the game. Like, it's okay. Like, you get tapped, you reset, and you move on. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, hate being mounted. But to answer your question, right in the rear naked choke, yeah, I'll hand fight. Hopefully catch you in a mistake. Gives me just enough opening to make a little space. And if I'm really good, it's again I'm a small guy, so what I can often do if you don't have a really good body triangle, I can twist around and be in your guard. So it's still a better position for me to be in your guard than to have you on my back. And I'm relatively then my goal becomes passing your guard. And that's again a different problem for me and my opponent.
If I'm not mistaken, um, isn't there an ankle lock off of a body triangle?
There is,
Yeah. Yeah.
and but
Yeah.
and
Because I,
I'll while I'm hand fighting, I'll work for that opportunity. I don't focus on it. Like there's a guy I deal with now. He's a purple belt. He's really good at taking advantage of ankle locking your body triangle. So
yeah.
with him,
Yeah.
I usually want body triangle him just because coming.
I don't know. I think there should be like different styles, and this is why I like the blue belt. Is in the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu system that I'm familiar with, uh, including Gracie University. The whole concept of blue belt is you're fight ready. You're fight ready in blue belt world. And then once you get into purple belt and black belt, you're competition ready, kind of a thing. Yeah, loosely speaking, it could probably be said better. Everything I say can be said better, so you're gonna have to deal with that. Uh, but I think I'm still getting the point across where when you're a blue belt is, in fact, the guy that I was talking about, he was a blue belt forever. And he just tapped black belt after black belt. His blue belt was so worn, it looked like a white belt, looked like my white belt, you know? Um, yeah, he's the one that taught me that ankle lock stuff off body triangle. Um, yeah, you were saying about being mounted. I think that's where my jujitsu kind of went a little, because everybody's jujitsu went a little, if you know what I mean, is what I'm talking about. Um, as if I can keep a thought. Let me drink some coffee. That might help. Um, yeah, there are certain things that like we were talking about conditioning. You wore the shirt and I love it, and it's your fault that I'm talking about this. Conditioning is the thing that you do often, and that's what kind of create repetition creates conditioning, good, bad, or ugly. It creates conditioning. One of the things is once you get beyond that blue belt, you now start entering into another world of conditioning
Oh, for
that
sure.
that is not necessarily um advantageous to self-defense in real life, which is kind of strange. I'm a white belt. I've been told by it was one of the greatest honors I've ever been told, that there's a Cornelius, the guy who's the Cornelius guy, the champion, Kurt, what the heck is his name? Real tall, lanky guy. He's the Sacramento guy here. Um, anyway, he's a world champion. And he said to me, I would rather have you by my side in a real fight than this guy,
Mhm.
which that's about as the best he could ever do with complimenting me because he was not a very complimenting guy. So, um, and I think what he meant by that is I didn't really care about uh, stuff beyond blue belt. I mean, I do, intellectually, I'll
Right.
watch it, I'll learn it, but as far as DNA goes, I kind of don't care because, and and this is where that shift happens from jujitsu as a art, as a self defense art, or jujitsu as a sport art, right? It's different conditioning, different response mechanisms going
Mhm.
on there. um you know uh, uh this might be a really good thing for blue belts that are struggling and in blue belt world and want to get out of blue belt world. Understand, appreciate that blue belt, man, because appreciate it like I appreciate my white belt. Oh,
Right.
and I insist on a white belt. I've been offered belts um, by Gracie family themselves. I'm like, you know what? I'm a Wing Chun guy, so I can't like I can't make that crossover. And I'm a I'm an forever beginner. I'm a beginner forever. I always have a beginner spirit where because somebody could always teach you. There's somebody
Right.
that never knew anything, and then they got this little thing that their uncle taught them, and it's like, what? There's a guy that taught me a thing with like two finger thing. He taught me a two finger. Have you seen that two finger, that one? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it's almost like an Ezekiel, but instead of your sleeves, you use two fingers, and then you just and you do this. Well, to break out of it, you just kind of rip it off, but it comes on so quick because you're not
Right.
expecting it, and it's like, "Whoa, what the hell?" um, so yes, there are these all kinds of cool things you do, but out on the streets and in real fights, there are certain things that you never want to do, and
Mhm.
that you might actually have to train out of. Um, Again, and everything I say is open for argument. That's why we're here. That's
Mhm.
why we're martial artists. We're not here just going to fluff each other's feathers. If there's a point of contention, by golly, we're the best people suited to talk about it and love each other still afterwards. Right? Right? Yeah, well, I know some jujitsu players, some Wing Chun players got a lot of hate no matter what you do. But I think for the most part, when you really get deep into your martial art, it's all about love. Especially jujitsu. My God, you don't even have to hurt the person. Just put them night night. Just go night night. Right? There you go. Listen, let me readjust that arm. You're going to use that improperly. Let me just do a little readjustment there. There you go. Now the pain will go away when you have learned your lesson. Yes, of course. So yes, elbowing out that knee elbow, man. Um, I love. Okay, I'll finish the thought here, so I can ask you more questions before. Oh, do we got time? Yeah, we got a little bit more time. Um, I love being mounted, and that was my downfall in jujitsu because I got too comfortable being mounted. That's my favorite place. That's my
Mhm.
comfort zone. You're on top of me. You're wasting all this energy trying to keep me on top of you, and I'm just slowly, methodically making you maintain that pressure and just slowly just doing that. I do a slow motion knee escape. I even like to tell people, okay, I'm gonna do a knee elbow escape right now. I'm doing it now. I'm doing it now. What are you gonna do? Uh-oh, the reversal's coming. Oh, shit. So beautiful. What I love about jujitsu, and you will learn. You're just a blue belt. I say that jokingly. Don't ever mess with a blue belt. Understand? Because he's got people on both sides beating his butt all the time. You ain't nothing. You know what? If you want to mess with a belt, go mess with a black belt. They'll have mercy on your soul. No, they'll do the right thing to you very methodically. You know, you'll just wake up with daisies in your butt or something. I don't know. Yeah. The thing I love is that, I'm just assuming that this is not necessarily your path, but I am showing you some paths. I may be wrong. This may be part of your path as well. You can get a thing such as the shrimp, also known as jujitsu. You can ask any black belt what animal best represents jujitsu. You can ask any black belt. Ask your Sifu what animal best represents jujitsu. He's going to say shrimp. He's going to say shrimp. Okay. Now, here's another thing. Shrimping can be taken to a level that is just mind blowing. I mean, just imagine when somebody gets that 3/4 rear. They're about to put that 3/4 rear, and then you just shrimp out of it and put them in your guard. I know you know that. Yeah, right. There's the shrimp out when they're going to your side, and then when they got you kind of quarterback, you know, then you
Mhm,
just shrimp out, put them in your guard. There, and that's just one little thing you could do with shrimping.
mhm,
Shrimping is just the level of shrimping is mind blowing. You could do shrimping to the point where you're on your tippy toes in your fingers, and your body is up, and you could just freeze it. I used to do this exercise with shrimping. I could do an hour seminar on shrimping alone. Easy, easy.
mhm,
Shrimping and then freeze. Shrimp, freeze. Shrimp, freeze. The core that's needed for that is just out the roof. And people find out at what point is their shrimp weak? Where does their core disengage? Right?
mhm.
Usually it's on the exit, right? On the core just disengages that little bit. What Wing Chun teaches is in real fighting, you do not disengage the core. There is no such thing. Now you go, oh, okay, cool. No, you got to train for that. You don't just because if you just did this and train, well, now you don't got any mobility in your limbs.
Mhm,
So mobility and movement is very challenging in reference to maintaining core 100% of the time. Boxers, they'll usually, fighters, they'll usually, okay, and then activate the core. They kind of let go, let go, let go, let go. In Wing Chun, we learn that there is no deactivating the core. In real fighting, you learn there is no deactivating the core. Again, the starting point is I'm on the ground, I'm getting my ass kicked. At what point am I going to let my core loose? Right?
right.
No point. So who's the winner? The guy that can maintain his core until the guy on top gets tired. Right?
Yeah.
It's a real interesting perspective. The beautiful thing about martial arts in general is there's just so many ways, you know. Again, the question you had said, "What's the best martial art?" And that was a great answer. Is the one that you're going to stick with? I'd add to that the one where you like the person and you enjoy being in that person's company.
Mhm.
I think that goes a long way as well. My guess is you've enjoyed the company that you have had and kept in your practice to get to blue belt.
Yeah, I mean that's a big reason why I've lived here as long as this was never a long term plan to stay here, but
Yeah,
at the time, just where my life was, jujitsu. This is really from the neck up. Jujitsu gave me what I needed to maintain a positive direction in my life, and so I really just took time, like sabbatical, for lack of a better word, to just like work on jujitsu because it gave me it gave me what was missing at the time. Again, from the neck up. The everything else, it gets there when it gets there. But I feel like, again, I can only speak for jiu-jitsu, but I'm sure most martial arts are very similar. Like, the reason why you put kids in martial arts is not so they'll be these great fighters, it's so they can learn, respect, discipline, accountability, and that's just from the soul and the neck up. The body stuff comes after. And so for me, jiu-jitsu gave me that that thing that I needed at a time when I needed it the most. And what has kept me there was, well, kind of the same thing, but then the growth of jiu-jitsu, again, not becoming a better practitioner, because to your point, you know, you could do a year of jiu-jitsu and pretty much know everything you would need to know to stay alive in a street fight. That's the bottom line. Like, that's against an average non-trained opponent, which is what you're most likely going to run into. But the thing that keeps me there, is that little bit extra. Whether it means you're looking for, because you're never going to master, but working towards mastering yourself in that journey to wherever you want it to go. And for me, and I'm being this honest, like I never showed up for the belt. Like, you get the belt when you get the belt. Like, I have some people that I've worked with, and they're like, I want to get to this belt by this time. I'm like, hey, that's your goal, go for it. Like, I'm happy for you. But like, I just show up every day, and at some point my head instructor thinks I'm deserving to something. I'll take it. But like, that's not why I'm there. It's like,
Yeah.
the reason that I walked in were to feel comfortable. If I'm walking into a store and someone decides they're going to have a bad day, I want to make sure I walk out pretty close to the way I walked in. That's what got me in the door. What kept me there was the other stuff that we spoke of.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me tell you, you're very fortunate to have a good instructor, somebody with that lineage, and someone that you appreciate, that you like. You know, that is so huge. It's so fortunate to have something like that, because there's tons of martial arts out there, especially jujitsu. Jujitsu is wildly popular.
Hmm.
Um, but finding the person that you're going to be able to get along with, and also you said something important, um finding somebody that's going to look out for your well-being in
Yeah,
classes is very important too, because yeah, there are guys in there that and gals in there that don't quite know that they mean to harm you.
right,
They don't know that they're doing that, they mean to. They think that that's the job, right?
right.
And they kind of go into this automatic mode. I had a girlfriend that did that. I kept having to tell her, because she was a wrestler in high school and stuff. So she's like, man, you gotta mellow out, She's like, what do you mean? You gotta mellow out. I'm like, no, like, what do you mean me mellow out? I'm on the bottom.
Right.
I I'm being the recipient of your 1,000 kilo right now. I'm being the recipient of your head and arm, and I'm just kind of letting you do your thing, but mellow out. You know? And one of the things I really love about, again, going back to the just how you can take a basic principle like shrimping and take it all the way to black belt. Yeah, you ain't done learning shrimping, neither am I. And neither of us do enough shrimping. Let me just tell you that right now. I don't know. I'm joking. I just like seeing you smile. um, yeah, you can do rear naked chokes. God, what a comfort zone, right? You got this person behind you, they're covering your back. It's kind of like they got your back,
Mhm.
this guy. And then, you just make sure you protect your neck, the song, protect your neck.
Yeah.
And then just kind of, make them struggle. That's the main key. Don't try to get out so quick. Don't try so quick. Just make sure you're nice and
Right.
comfy wherever, and then make them struggle, man. A weak opponent's a lot easier to deal with than a strong one. Sometimes I got a gang member, just jacked, tats and the whole 9 yards. and I was sick with a stomach flu, and and I had like obviously mouthed off to him, because I'm just a little guy, and he's like, "Do you know who I am? Rah, 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 you know, I am, right?" So I'm like, geez, I need to puke right now because I got a stomach flu. And I've been up puking for like a day. I'm just exhausted. So I'm like, oh shit, this guy's gonna kill me, man. I got to do something here. So I'm like, all right, start running. Now I'm sick. I can't run. I'm only gonna run so far before I start here, right? So I'm running, and then I hear him. He's yeah, he just decides, yeah, he's just gonna catch up and just clock me, right? So he's running. I hear him as soon as I hear him. Hee-haw! Do a little donkey kick. It was wonderful. Then I turned around like, all right, let's go. He's like, you don't know who you're dealing with. I'm like, well, I think I got a good idea. Let's do it. So yeah, it's using this in the real world is so smart. Making sure people expend that immediate energy because mothers can lift up buses
Hmm.
with that immediate strength, that and no amount of martial arts skill, especially if they're bigger, they're always bigger, right? No amount of martial arts skill is going to get you through that initial. That's why I like the guard, you know, having the guard, being able to just let them do their thing while you kind of hang in the guard. Now, last question, and we'll finish this. And thank you so much for joining me
No,
again.
thank you.
Now you're really getting to some subject matter. Now I've always said there's two kinds of people in the world. Jokingly, I hope I don't get demoed for this, but I'm not. This is not that kind of channel. You're rather a dick or you're an asshole in life. You know. Now, on some of the other channels, I'll probably be a kind of an asshole, And the difference is an asshole does things by mistakes, doesn't mean it. Oh, I didn't mean it. I feel like such an asshole, right? A dick is, yeah, it's right out front. You're doing it. There it is. Yep, that's me right here. Yeah. Maybe that's what people don't. Maybe there's an unlikable trait in my Sifu Z character here, which is that I'm a dick when it comes to Wing Chun because man, Wing Chun is the real deal. You want to learn your jujitsu, you want to learn your Muay Thai, you want to learn your boxing, you want to learn any of that. Guess what you need to do? You need to do your Wing Chun homework. Yeah, and no, and not enough people are paying me. And that's because I turn a lot of people away. I ain't got time. Listen, I've been doing this long enough where now I ain't dealing with anybody I don't like. I gotta
Hmm.
like you. I gotta like you. You gotta understand and appreciate my dick persona. Why am I a dick? Why am I being such a dick? Well, that's the thing is I have some real stuff here. I got some real stuff here. People that have some real stuff are usually gonna come off like that. They're gonna be like, because I'm provoking you. I'm provoking you. I'm purposely provoking you. Oh, you think I'm wrong? Yeah. All right. Let's see. What do you got? All right. Let's hear what you got. Luckily, we're intellectuals. We could actually talk about it. We've done the training. We can say, well, dude, reverse Kimura. Uh, yeah, I mean, there's terminology here. And then Wing Chun even can get deeper into the
Hmm.
terminology because that's where it all comes from. Jiu-Jitsu comes from Japan. Their martial art comes from Chinese Kung Fu. You know that. Perhaps you know that. Yeah. There is a book that was put out by a Brazilian jiu-jitsu champion, and it was the Chinese origins of jiu-jitsu.
Hmm.
And he was doing what I feel all jiu-jitsu players should at least be respectful of, and that is, yeah, you guys took it to another level on the ground. You even beat the Japanese guys that taught you, right? You took it to another level. But man, you do a great disservice to your art if you lose track of your where is that coming from, right? And the Wing Chun comes from the Hindi culture, right? Wing Chun is known to be Chinese 400 years old, but can be traced back to the hula and lua, can be traced back to the Hindi arts, Ganesh, Shiva,
Mhm.
all postures within Wing Chun, therefore also connected to your art in every single way. Here's one. Here's one for you. Oh no, perfect. What does this remind you?
If I were on the ground,
Yeah,
a guard,
that was a wide one. So yeah, sure. Um,
probably like
we're
what a
talking De La Rivas, we're talking knee, we're talking outside knee, inside knee, of course, and what would like this remind you of in jujitsu? This is also a wide one because it's so wide ranging, you know. What would
um
this remind you of?
um
It should, and the tip is what animal is jujitsu most associated with?
well, it reminds me more of butterfly gardish, but that's probably not the animal you were looking for.
Yeah, yeah. There is an association because you got the opposite of it, right? Which is very good, by the way. Yeah, but this stuff here, right, is
Hmm.
huge foot play when you're down. And I'm sorry. Let's take it back to here. This shrimp, shrimping.
Hmm.
When you take your guard to the next level, try this. Do that positioning and push off from that with the knees in, right?
Hmm.
From the knees in, you're on the ground, right? And right
Right,
from
right,
this
right,
position as opposed to this position. It's just a little tweak.
right.
It's just a little tweak, but it gives you more strength in that shrimp.
Hmm.
It's a this is also if you're on the ground, that's where you want your knees in, so you can start, so you can turn side. If you how you doing? Yeah, if you're on the ground and you're about to put somebody in your guard, you don't want to have your knees in out rather, or like this.
Right,
You want your
right.
knees in, yeah. But there's all these beautiful little things that jujitsu has done, and because China, and we're going to end real quick. I'm sorry, but China is jujitsu.
Hmm.
So you ask why didn't the Chinese develop their China like the Japanese? Why didn't they develop it like the jujitsu, the Brazilian jiu-jitsu? Why? And we'll talk about that next time. Because
Yeah,
there's
you
a
want to more,
wonderful
right?
story. So, Ramon, I think there's a famous Wing Chun guy out there called Emin Bostep.
Don't know him.
Bostep, yeah, Bostep, maybe not Bostek, but anyway, yeah, you never know. Yeah, that's all right. You don't need to know him. He's not one of our guys. Hey, Wing Chun guys out there, by the way, I'm only kidding. I love all you guys. I really do. I love all you martial artists out there that are trying to make yourselves and trying to make the community around you a better place. I love you all. We're just playing here. We're nitpicking. Yeah, if you were a student of mine, we'd still be doing the same thing. I'd be making fun of your bonsai, or I don't know, something like that, just egging you on. But it's all in love and respect for the martial arts in general. And yeah, there's no hate here. You're just not gonna find it. Yeah, my moderator won't even let it happen either. So Ramon, um, can we do this again?
Absolutely.
Let's do it again soon, because I've not even dusted the surface
And we
of
haven't
the questions.
we haven't got to even scratch the surface yet.
Not even scratched the surface yet. So I'm really looking forward to talking to you more. And I'm also kind of looking forward, because you notice I'm egging you on. I'm being a dick and I'm egging you on. Why am I doing that? Because next time you see me, I want you to like try to hit. No, 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 no. Next next time you see me, we see each other, maybe you have some questions for me,
All right.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, or yeah, and that's what I really like to get at is, I speak as an authority only because no one defies it, right? And so that's I think a life lesson. So if
Mhm.
nobody defies it, somebody's gonna speak as an authority, even if they aren't. So don't be afraid to speak of it as an authority of something that you think you know of, but also don't be afraid to be put in your place if you're wrong.
For sure.
No, no, no biggie, no biggie. Martial arts gives you that thick skin. It's no big deal.
No, but that's the difference. Like we want to be wrong. Like that's how you learn. Like it's okay. It's like
Yes,
that's yeah. I'm okay. Like I didn't.
yes.
Thank you for telling me. Now I have more information. I mean, that's how we learn.
Oh yeah, yeah. And and you can also vet it and maybe go, but what about this? What about that? And then I learn, right? That's
Yeah.
it, that's how you do it. The reason I became a martial arts instructor is because I want to learn. That's the only way you learn, is by teaching. Well, no, there's probably other ways, but as far as I'm concerned, it's the only way I can do it.
Yeah.
The only way I can learn is by teaching, and the only way I can teach is by learning. You know,
Hmm.
um, I've shown you my Ezekiel beads here.
Yes.
I know you've been looking at these. You know why they're called Ezekiel beads, right?
I'm assuming you're going to use them to choke somebody with.
Oh, and these are strong. This is 7 braids of hemp holding these beads together. Oh, oh man, Ezekiel. I named them not because I don't want to blaspheme the Bible or anything. So it's not Ezekiel. It's easy kill beads. Easy kill. Easy kill. So yeah, you can get these at a store near you for $9.99, and not really, but yeah, easy kill. Yeah,
Like,
easy kill. Make sure you rather buy them from me or make them yourself, but don't leave home without them. Uh, now, do you have a website? Do you have a YouTube?
my website and all my socials, it's under Bostic Fitness, Bostic Fitness. Whether it's Instagram or my website, just bosticfitness.com. If you go to Instagram, it's easy. All my contact is there.
Excellent. So if you're in the Scottsdale, Arizona area, you can look Ramon up, and also if you're somewhere else on the planet, you can get in touch with him through the various
Yeah,
platforms that you're
mostly
on.
virtual training at this point, but again, on my website it has the breakdown of all that. But yeah, I'm available anywhere in the world. I'm here for you.
Great. And uh, be sure to check him out over at Ramon Bostic on YouTube. Go check him out. Subscribe, thumbs up, and all that. You guys know what to do, right? Also, check out Chad Ventures. He's out there in Colorado right now, and he is a Wing Chun Sifu master. Chad, any of my Sifus, any of my students, I always do jujitsu with them. Half of the class is jujitsu, if not more, or sometimes many hours of the class is jujitsu because we just roll the whole time, you
Yeah.
know. So we do a lot of jujitsu, but we call it China. You know, in Wing Chun we call it China because it's the origins of it, and we thank the jujitsu people for doing such a fabulous job with it. Thank you. We're going to take it back now. Don't hurt us for it. It's ours, but you know, with all respects. No, again, it is all fun here. Thanks for joining us. Go check out sifuZ.com. That's have you seen many of my Sifu Z videos? I gotta clean my Sifu Z videos
I,
up. I gotta
I kind of went through. I watched some of the early ones, the later ones, and kind of in the middle, to kind of get a good range of the whole thing. Obviously I'm familiar with Wing Chun. Um, and yeah, I was really just watching because again we learn from each other. I was
yeah.
watching just your teaching style to see how I can incorporate that into what I do. It was more of that, but yeah, I for sure looked at quite a few of your videos.
Oh, great. Okay, so you know, my whole thing is grounding. I've been grounded. I've been doing Wing Chun this whole time. I cheat, doing the Kimmy Ma and whatnot. Um, yeah, it's so great. I am going and listen, being an old guy and stuff, and doing all the stuff that I'm doing. I really need like Chad and you guys. I just need you to send me stuff in like email or text and go, hey, check out this, check this out. You know, because otherwise everyone disappears. You know, until it's time. So if I am not checking your stuff out, it's not because I don't want to. It's because you're not throwing it at me. Yeah, just throw it at me. Don't feel like you're you know bothering me or anything like that. I really want to see and engage with your material as well. So let's certainly do that again. And same with any of you out there listening. You know, you got stuff out there. Let's see it. What do you got? What are you putting out there, man? That's what's cool about this platform. We get to see people that you know. We don't have to like all go after the real popular influencers. And how about just the average guy out there that's training, you know, that's trying to make himself better, or gal or girl, right? All right. We're going to see. This is proof that we need to do like sort of a little episodes here because we just go on and on. Again, thank you guys. Aloha. I'll see you next. Geez, are we going to do this tomorrow? Am I going to do this tomorrow? We haven't even thought about that. Go ahead and drop me a line if after, and let me know what your schedule is. Let me know what's going on, and we'll figure something out.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, Ramon. Thank you, guys. I'll see you next video.